Hello and welcome to another episode of the Aesthetic Lifestyle Podcast. And today I have a very, very special guest, long-term client of mine. I think about 2.5 years now, isn't it?
We are, yeah. I'm thinking about that last week. It's been a long time, thankfully.
Great. So yeah, we've worked together for about 2.5 years, and Josh has had an absolutely awesome journey thus far. So, dude, why don't you give everyone a little bit of an intro, talk about who you are, where you're from, and where life's at for you at the moment?
Absolutely. I'm Josh, and I live in Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm originally from a place called Wilton, about 40 minutes east of here. I'm essentially from the woods, is what I normally say. The woods and the fields is where I hail from, and now I live my life in the capital city. I for sit a lot right here. I do finance work across a number of industries, and I to work out. And Connor helps me with that like a whole. So that's who I am. That's where I'm from. That's what I do. Um, I think I hit it.
Oh man, when he says he loves to train, the guy is an absolute beast, which I'm sure we'll get onto in a bit. But dude, let's look back to where things were at for you before we started coaching. Like, what was like for you then, 2.5 years ago, physically, mentally, and so on?
Yeah, I at that time, well, when I actually started going to the gym consistently on my own, I believe that was like 2018 or 10. I did that because there was a gym that opened downtown where I was working at the time. I was managing a cocktail bar. I was the general manager at a specialty food and beverage store with the same owner. And this gym opened. And I was in school for bookkeeping and everything I do now. And so I joined there and I would go for about an hour, maybe 3 times a week. I really preferred just going to the sauna than just making my way back to the various works because I was doing a lot of doubles. I was doing a lot of long days, let's say. And so that for me, like I knew I wanted to work on my body just for health, also visual reasons. And I say that it worked to a point, right? But I would say that that was a real plateau. And so it was not until post pandemic before we working together. And I eventually started going to the gym with a buddy, so accountability buddy, and we would go like every day, Monday through Friday at noon. That's how we would spend our lunch during the post lockdown era. So I'm talking about like late 2021 to like 2023. We started working together in 2023, so it was like April or something like that. So yeah, that is my journey from starting on my own, really not knowing what to do, right? Like I'm just on like bodybuilding.com. I went to Google searching how do you do a chest day. And I was just doing it. My gym helped me out a lot. He was like kind of, really on it, knew what to do form wise, spotting, all that good stuff. I learned a lot of like free from him. We did a lot of squats, we did a lot of bench presses, saw a lot from him. And then we started working together and I have learned it immensely more. And I just really enjoy it.
Amazing, man. Absolutely awesome. It's really cool, isn't it, to look back when you, like so many people, I started the same, when you just start looking up bodybuilding.com and you just look at people that are jacked and you're like, what are they doing?
Right.
Let me copy that. And then you get a couple weeks down the line, you're like, why do I not look like them? What is going on?
Yeah, you want it to happen fast. You want it to happen so fast. And me knowing kind of now, I mean, like working together, I think my weight was somewhere between like 175 and 180. And I am now consistently at like 155.
I think the nice thing with your journey as well is as we went through that fat loss phase, and even now, we never counted a single calorie, right?
Yeah.
Not once, because I remember our first conversation. I can't remember exactly what you said to me, but it was a case of, right, I want to do this where I really take care of my relationship with food, and counting calories is just, it's not going to happen for me. So how else can we do this? And that was where our sort of method born.
Yeah, sure enough. I come from a disordered eating background in like late high school, early 20s. And basically what this for me was not eating. It was anorexia, right? So never candidly experienced any issues with numbers per se, but I knew that might not be the best path for me. And so it was incredibly helpful. You remember doing that too, and you sent over, I think like a wheel or something like that. And you're like, you got to pick, from these appropriately And that's what I did, and it was amazing. That was very easy to do. Very easy to do.
For anyone listening, what Josh is referring to is the Precision Nutrition Hand Portioning Guide. It makes things so easy because every sort of like diet, should we call it, leads to the same outcome, right? Of us either reducing or increasing calories and trying to improve the overall quality of what it is we're eating. How we get there is the thing that's different. So we just looked at it and went, okay, well, we don't wanna look at numbers. So let's look at what we're eating and we can go, okay, well, we can just take palm-sized serving of carbohydrates out, for example. It works super, super well. So something for people to consider there. But what were the biggest reasons for you starting the coaching in the first place, mate?
Yeah, so that I don't know. I mean, I had been following you on Instagram for a little while, and that I forget what it was that made me hit the follow button. I think it was something that you were saying about food, specifically about food, and how you can manage that on any kind of like fitness, I guess, journey, lifestyle. I don't even know what it is for me now. It's more of a lifestyle, I guess. Uh, and had posted one of those things that you do where you're like, if you want this plan, swipe up and I think it was summer at that time. It was like, get ready for summer. And I did. And yeah, I was like, I just want to see. I just want to see what that is, because I don't know. And it was one of those situations where, yes, I had learned an amount from my gym buddy and everything. And then he got a different job and like we weren't going together as much anymore. And I was like, okay, well, I have to continue to do this and I want to be better at it. So this is a good time. This is a good time for me to try something with someone.
Love it, man. It's always nice to hear that the marketing side of things does the job there.
Completely.
When I like to ask people this, like, or clients question, because obviously we've then built a relationship. But before we started, with it being online, did you have any like hesitations about that process?
Not really. I mean, someone would, right? Where they're like, "Well, I don't know how I'm going to see value in this if it's, I don't have this person physically in front of me. I don't have them with me, like I do the exercises saying, like, do this, try this, don't try this. I think for me, because I like growing up, I did a lot of dancing and singing. I played, and what my experience was when we started was like, I know to take the direction that Connor is giving me, like verbally. Like, I don't want them there, like moving my leg for me and saying, like, okay, hold it, I'll do the exercise. Like, don't shit. No, just inherently in having been dancing and doing that stuff for so long, I hear it and I'm like, okay, I feel like I know what that's supposed to look like or that's supposed to feel like. So for me, I didn't have hesitations. And what I was looking for out of it was that I was like, if I get that checklist, I will do it every time. I don't need to have that person standing physically next to me. So no, I did not have hesitations. I understand why someone would, but even that is like that can be unpacked and kind of gotten by just like being explained. Okay, with the stuff that's about to come your way. Like if you engage with this, yeah, you're about to get a lot.
Amazing. It's funny what you say about the like how the sort of filters in because you can't dance if you don't know how to move your limbs, right? I mean, you can just won't aesthetically as pleasing as it could, right?
Absolutely.
Amazing, man. So, dude, as we've worked together, what's been the biggest things that have stood out for you or made the biggest difference for yourself?
What has the biggest difference? I think it's like the knowledge portion. I think the variety of exercise that we have done over all of our time together. I mean, I have done two or 300 different exercises through all of this. I really, really like, and I'm talking about like individual ones, one exercise, lateral exercise, all that. Like, has to be hundreds. And that's something that I completely love because I feel like now, if I want to add something to one of the workouts we're doing, if I'm like, okay, well, I've still got some gas in the tank. I want to continue to, do more exercises today. I know what I can do because I know how to target those parts of my body that I'm like, okay, well, how much this today? Or maybe I want to double down on this. What's a different way I can do it? So having backlog and also right there in the app, it's in front of me. I can look for it if I don't remember and there's a video. So I'm really access to the exercises themselves and the knowledge I've gotten from doing so many rounds of exercises. I mean, we every 6 weeks, 8 weeks, I don't even know anymore because I just know it's going to happen. And Connor's going to ask me, what do you want to work on? And I'm going to need to have an answer. So that has made the biggest difference to me, in addition to just like general baseline, right? So I never worry anymore when I go for my yearly physical. Like, I'm always what's going to come back in my blood panel, but I'm never like, oh shoot, I need to, be XYZ. Like, I don't have that. Yeah, I just don't have that weighing on my mind.
Amazing, dude. So I don't know if my camera keeps cutting out. It's really strange. It's a new camera. Whatever.
Okay.
Amazing, dude. I love it, and it's cool. Like, I'm big in having like the fundamental exercises or like the basic movement patterns. But it's so nice when you can add different variations so that you can really feel the target muscle, like just by around with things like elevating your heels when you do like a something like that. It adds a different dimension. Then when you go back to do the regular split squat as an example, you're, oh fuck, I can feel my quads now. Oh, that's different. Amazing. So, dude, talk to us about the actual results that you've achieved the last 2.5 years, man.
Oh my gosh. So, I have seen results in a number of different ways. One way I've seen results is knowing my limits. I feel like that is a result. I think, and like, way I know this, like, so I had a wrist injury many years ago. I had surgery on it. And in getting to like doing more weight, so when I do bent dumbbell rows, I'm holding two 55-pound dumbbells. I've done with chest supported chest rows. And I've learned is this wrist will never support more than 60-pound dumbbell. Like, it just won't. So I don't know that because now I know what that feels like. So when I go to like move something, like it might like I moved into the house, I can't do something like hurt myself. Like, I know that's like, and I think that's a real result. I definitely see physically the results of everything that we've done. And like, while that was not really a goal, I would say, but it is pretty intensely visible results. And that feels really like that, byproduct feels really, definitely, like I said, of doctor's visits and stuff. I don't worry about like what's going to come out or end. Like, what are those blood reports going to say? Um, I have gotten definitely her actually over the last years from those yearly physicals. We've worked a lot on sleep, and that has been a really, really great result to have is like, I now know how to, I call it putting myself down at night. I know how to do that like super effectively. When I'm about to muck it up, I know what that feels like too. And also one result would be how to actually, with the time that I have in a day and in a week, how to pull off multiple sessions. Cause like you were saying, I don't do the 4 prescribed workouts that we do. I do 3 hot yoga classes a week and I do 3 dance classes a week also. So like learning how to put into my day and my week, huge, huge.
Especially when you add in you're working full time on top of that, and the last month with you organizing everything for Pride, fucking intense, man.
Just wild. Yeah. Yeah. So great results I've had.
Love it, dude. What would be like your like biggest takeaways that you've taken?
Mm. Well, that you should think about like fitness as having an end, right? You're not working out so that one day you can stop and look your best. That's not what that. And in fact, I think like there's just a lot of ups and downs to it, especially when you have things like injuries or something like that. So like a big takeaway for me is, you shouldn't be this with some kind of like teleology, right? There is like finish line here. You don't win. No one wins. That's not what it is. There's no end. And I think, I've also learned therapeutic aspect of has been a real thing for me. So I've certainly learned that if I don't do it, not only is there just kind of like the pent up, body doesn't know what to do with it and all that, but there's like a mental clarity part of it too. Cause I think for a long time, really in the last couple of years, I have used it in a very different way, kind of like a to a very close in my life, a way to be by myself but around people, a way to do that's not self-destructive, right? But something like positive. So those would be the takeaways for me is like this is so not about picking up a weight or moving things around a room. It's not that unidimensional.
Dude, I couldn't agree more. Like, I mean, looking after your whole, it just puts you in the best possible position to deal with life. And when you are, struggling with things, able to go, yeah, maybe I'm not going to have an amazing session. I'm not going to go and socialize with people or whatever. Just going to put some headphones in and I'm going to look after myself for 45 minutes, an hour. And then I can go home and I've done something positive with my day rather than like really people would, going through periods of grieving and stress is food because they give immediate gratification, right? Whereas training and looking after yourself, it's not so immediate. But when you are in the routine of it, like you are, you see long term of, yeah, but this makes me good every day. A couple drinks makes you feel good for a couple hours, and then you have that big low afterwards. Do you know what I mean?
Right. At best. Exactly. Yeah. It's a great way to just sink yourself, honestly. Yeah, and found myself in there doing a session and it's like, well, I'm like hyper focused on this thing that's like happening in my life. And I'm like, okay, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do this workout and we're gonna think about that one thing. We're just gonna try to get through it, and I'm just gonna count and breathe like and let that go or whatever it needs to be, right? Processing, I guess is what we call that from like therapy and stuff. But and then yeah, like I said, just about going and picking up a weight. It's always so much more.
I love it, man. I love it, dude. What for you then has been like the biggest change in your as a result of having such a fantastic routine in place?
Hmm. I would say that now I might be a morning person, Connor. I might be a morning person. And that's nuts, man. Like, that's wild to me because I spent so in my life, like I said, managing bars, and that's a very late job to have. Very late, especially in a pre-pandemic era. Everything's open till 2 a.m. You're not getting home until 4. You're lucky if you're asleep by 5. And if you've been hanging out with anybody, the sun's coming up before you know it. And uh, it is like I for pretty much the whole time you and I have known each other. And instead, it's become like, well, now I'm living this kind of 9 to 5 life and stuff. So being like, then I like, okay, well, it's actually infinitely being if I get up, if I go to the gym and I do my lift, and then I am like home and showered and I listened to the Daily on New York Times and like gotten my world stuff and and I'm like worked hour before first call. It's like that sounds like maybe it was a big I would say it was a big change and it wasn't easy necessarily, but the benefits of it I'm just like completely out. So yeah, I think I might be a morning person now. Really wild.
I love it. That big shift, my man. Okay, dude, last thing. What would you say to, or what is a message you would like to pass on to anybody listening?
I think the first thing I would say is never take lightly what stays in the dark. And for me, that can come calling at a time just because of my recent life experience and history. And it is just so important to think about your well in a from a complete perspective. And I mean that mind, body. And so what we're talking about here is all three of those. This really does call it them. It affects all of them. Like physical well-being and being are not so different, right? Like they one can certainly affect the other. And it's important to not ignore that, especially when you're going through something maybe difficult. It is my opinion going for it. Being physical at all is absolutely going to help. It's absolutely going to help.
Dude, what a fantastic message to put on. And I really do agree. I think they work together in tandem, and you might be having a difficult time, and if you can just take yourself out for a walk, no, it's not necessarily going to solve it, but it's going to help you in some way, shape, or form.
Mhm.
Dude, thank you for coming on. Thank you for being a part of of what I'm doing here. And it's been a real pleasure to coach you along the way. You've been an absolute superstar, man.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate that. Still working on it, honestly.
Love it, dude.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.